Thank you very much, Senator Cruz. All right, Mr. Kimball, I want to go to you for a moment. Warner Brothers, on its official YouTube channel description, lists a few things in terms of its offering. It invites viewers to subscribe for what it describes as follows, quote, movie trailers, clips, and featurettes. But it doesn't say anything in there about full feature-length movies or television series, correct?
We provide a significant amount of content to YouTube, including produced shorts. We have television, children's programming. We do not license feature films, no.
Okay. So, there are some of those things on there, but you would say that's a smaller percentage, likely in the low single digits for Warner Brothers?
Oh, it's hundreds of hours of programming that we provide.
Oh, no, I don't doubt that. But in the broad scheme of things, in terms of all the content that is displayed through YouTube, it's a small portion, right? I mean, that's not your bread and butter for YouTube. It's not the bread and butter for this.
It's a small portion, but it's an important platform for us, yes.
Okay. All right. This is good to know. Now, let's.
The existence of trans people.
Now we're not going to do that. You're free to be here. I was worried, by the way, when Ted was suggesting it was a costume. I had this brief moment. What if it's not a costume? What if that's just the way he dresses? But it's not. After the merger. Let's assume for a minute that the merger is consummated, that it doesn't encounter any hiccups, it isn't blocked by mergers or by some other event. Post-merger, imagine that world. Netflix would control Warner Brothers' film and television content library, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Netflix, at that point, could choose to do with it what it wants. So despite present intentions, I mean, you're the co-CEO of one of the most successful companies in American history, not just in history, but not just today, but ever. And you've got to be that way because you've been able to adapt to market conditions. You saw that, for example, with you started out as a DVD rental business by mail, and you adapted with technology and changing market preferences, and you saw those things happen. So with changes, you won't be under any binding obligation to license Warner Brothers content to a rival streaming service, correct?
We would not be obligated to, but that we certainly would want to.
Sure.
The business model, again, the price is baked into billions of dollars of revenue from that division of the company.
I get that. But there's no contractual obligation. I'm not aware of any legal obligation to do that. Now, intentions aside, because there is no obligation to license that content, you could decide not to. And that I'm sure you would concede, would alter the competitive landscape to a degree. It's relevant, is it not?
I'd say it would be possible, sir, to make bad business decisions like that, but I hope we would not.
So, and likewise, even if you didn't decide to stop licensing to others, you could also make an infinitely dialable, infinitely scalable set of decisions regarding the licensing fee arrangements so as to make it either more or less attractive for others to stream Warner Brothers content. Is that right?
I think what we'd want to, it'd be a very competitive marketplace as it is today, and I think what we want to do is make those deals work.
No, I understand.
You cited the Sony pay TV deal
Yes.
in your opening remarks. That was a renewal of a deal that we've had for years with Sony. They renewed that deal because it was favorable to them. They liked the terms of that deal.
Sure.
So, and there was many people bidding for it.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
And I just also may, if you don't mind, that pay TV window, I'd say is really exciting because it opens up the value to consumers. Prior to that window, you've got exclusivity to theaters, which comes with a price tag. You've got pay-per-view and digital rental, which comes with a price tag. and then you get it to the subscription model, and it's included in your subscription at this closer to 35 cents an hour of watching, which makes movie watching much more affordable for consumers.
Yeah.
And it
I
strengthens our
won't
love
have you
affair.
do the math now, but I'll do the math later. That's somebody that's a pretty high volume user who's getting it at that rate. But great. If somebody wants to watch that much, that's great. All right, I want to get shift to a slightly different but related topic. It's my understanding that it's Netflix's position that this deal doesn't require any kind of divestiture or other remedy in order to address any anti-competitive concerns. Is that correct? Is that still your position?
It's our position, but it's going to ultimately be up to the Department of Justice.
Sure. Now, there is a term of art in the industry among antitrust lawyers known as litigating the fix. Litigating the fix sometimes involves a technique whereby one takes a deal, take it all the way to the altar, and sort of right before you reach the altar, you say, oh, wait a minute, we've got a fix. Just to add on to show how magnanimous we are, we don't think there was a problem with it anyway, but just to show you how much we mean that, we're going to make some divestitures or slap some of our own conditions on this voluntarily, just to make clear that we're the good guys, we're the good folks, we want a pro-competitive marketplace. Now, if it's your position that no fixes are necessary, can I assume that you won't be litigating the fix here?
I'm sorry, Senator. It's premature to talk through it.
Right. Have you pre-litigated the fix? Sometimes, as I understand it, litigating the fix is something that's actually not only conceived of, but more or less arranged privately prior to the consummation of the deal. And it's known all along, and it's not a surprise to anyone inside the company, at least among those who've been negotiating the deal, that they're doing that. Do you have any of those arrangements here?
There's been no discussions about that I'm aware of.
Okay. Now, Netflix and Warner Brothers are both among the largest buyers, the largest acquirers, payers, whatever you want to call it, of creative labor in the industry. Is that, would you agree with that statement?
Sounds right. I mean, if you think about it, what we spend on programming, we spend so little on sports, so most of it is creative versus some of the other networks that might spend competitively. They're also spending a great deal on sports.
Well, by the way, you plan to spend $20 billion a year in production. Are you aware of any other producer who spends more than that?
We spend, on the entertainment side, we spend roughly $12 billion. And I know, we have a very competitive industry. When you look at Disney, clearly, they're spending more than we are. Paramount, Universal, we're all spending in the same general range.
Same ballpark.
Okay, that is a fair amount of money. I mean, that's almost as much as my colleagues will earmark in a particular spending bill, but it's an enormous sum of money. So post-merger, again, fast forward, let's imagine a world in which you don't encounter any other hiccups, nobody backs out, nobody's blocked, and the merger happens. Wouldn't it be fair to assume that there would be fewer independent studios at that point, or fewer studios generally, competing to hire writers, directors, actors, production professionals, and others involved on the production side?
I'm sorry, I'm missing the connections.
Yeah, okay. Pre-merger, you've got two different companies. You've both got your own separate revenue streams. After the merger, you'll all be under one ownership. And all production costs, let's say if you, I don't know what happens, I'm not asking you to divulge that here, but the two of you combined, you'll be both spending a certain amount. I would imagine it could be something involving your current production cost plans plus your current production outlay plans, somewhere in that range. Right now, that's between two companies. It'll be under one ownership if the deal comes together and if it's completed. So at that point, wouldn't it be fair to say that there will be fewer studios competing to hire the writers, directors, actors, production technicians, and so forth?
Actually, in the way that we're doing this deal, we're going to keep Warner Brothers Studio, both television and film, operating exactly like they are today, so no fewer studios. By way of example, in a potential Paramount deal, they would absolutely collapse from 5 to 4 studios.
No, I grasp that, and I appreciate that, and you and I have talked about that in the past. And
Yeah, this keeps the 5 studios intact.
I recognize your plan, and I respect that. Nevertheless, you didn't get to be where you are today by playing it safe. Otherwise, we'd still be back in, what's the name of the place where you worked, the video store?
Arizona Video Cassettes West.
It's fantastic.
It's a very catchy title,
I
right?
love the West on it. I've asked him in the past to repeat that several times. Otherwise, you might still be back there. You're not content with the status quo. You see market trends. You see changes in technology and in distribution of market power. There's no guarantee that that will continue to be the case. There are all kinds of things that could change. All right, I've gone significantly over in this round. We may be back. Senator Booker, go ahead.